Hey man, the sheet turned into a potato chip. How do I fix it?
So what Blaine's doing is he's building a fuel cell kind of like this, but it's, like 5 times bigger. And he started welding in a flange to bolt a fuel pump to, I think. And the whole thing started, turning into a potato chip. It got all curled, and so he wants to know how to fix it from where he's at. But first off, let's talk about why it potato chipped and curled up, and what would have been the best approach to not have it do that in the first place. Gotta love ruffles. The one he's building is like almost a foot wide by 16, and he's using 90 thousandths thick aluminum on it. And so first off, that's too thin in my opinion, unless you were putting some gussets and reinforcing all over in it. Or, weight's a huge concern, like some little race car or something. But so just for reference here, this is 1/8 inch, the thinnest that I would use. And it doesn't sound like much, but that extra 35 thousandths makes it a lot stiffer. This is a lot thinner sheet, but for an example, it's way more prone to warping, especially when you weld on something out in the middle. So the next thing is, if it was a possibility, I would have put that flange closer to a corner. The further you put it out in the center, the more it's going to pull and contract. And I might be wrong, it's hard to tell from the picture that he sent me, but it appears as if there's a shadow on this side. Like that, so it looks like his flange is raised up, which if that is the case, it means that it wasn't tacked enough times on the back, spread evenly before he started welding. Like I said, I might be wrong, it's hard to tell from the picture, but if you do only tack it in, 1 or 2 spots and just start welding, when you start welding around, it's gonna get hot, and then as you go around, it's going to start contracting and pulling up like that. And then that's just going to make the warping even worse. So make sure you guys put, I'd say 4 or even 5 tacks around it if you're the slightest bit worried about it. Smaller stuff like this, though, you can get away with 2 or 3. But, that big flange he had in the thin aluminum, definitely do a bunch of them. So when you tack over here, you want to check your part and make sure that it's not lifting up on the other side. No gap rising. Get that pushed down tight. And then a lot of you guys have probably noticed, if you're paying close attention in my videos, I'll put a tack down and then set the rod down, and while the puddle's still liquefied, I'll put some down pressure next to it and then ramp off the amperage and let it cool. That ensures that it's sucked down nice and tight. And since these are opposing each other, just check it one more time. And then you don't really need to do that on the next ones because it won't teeter-totter. These ones are sucked down tight. Hopefully that makes sense. And if it's wobbling around, just do like I showed you in a previous video, put a shim under one side. And on parts like these, you can weld the inside like he did, but my preference is to weld the outside, because if down the road this does develop a leak, it's a fuel cell, so you would just see fuel seeping out of this and you would have no idea where the crack was on the inside. You'd have to put a weld around the outside anyways to seal it back up. That's my thought process, at least. Plus, welds look cool anyways, right? Want to leave them on the outside to see them. And another reason is mowing over tack welds to do your final weld. Every one of these spots is the most prone for like pinhole leaks, so kind of nice to have a fresh start on the outside with no obstacles to go over. And as you can see here, I clearly, purposely, on accident, welded this side up way too hot. See how it's getting hazy and the sharp chevrons going on it versus the side that I started on, nice and shiny. But anyways, overheating like that will make it warp even worse. So the next thing that I think was done wrong on this is I would have fitted up the entire thing first, tacked it all together in several spots, and then welded this in last. So everything was structurally pinned in place, you know, so you don't get these dives. Tack it on the corners and then every 4 or 6 inches. That keeps everything located a lot better so it's not gonna start bowing on you. But, so now here we are, so I'm gonna show you what I would do to straighten this all out. On a smaller part like this, I may start just wailing on it with a mallet, you know, holding it in my hand and whopping on it, trying to straighten it out. But as big as his part is, that might not be a good idea. You might put more waves in it, so we'll go this route. Normally, if you're making a part like this, you'd want to have this all in one piece, wrapped the whole way around. Less welds, you know, it's going to be better for you. But as expensive as metal is now, I'm not going to waste material, so I'll just show you on this side to give you the idea. So you can see how poor of a fit up that is. It's touching nice in the middle, but both sides have gaps. So that is not going to be a pretty looking weld, no matter how hard you try. It's best to have a nice fit up the whole way across. So I'm going to eye up the ends, get it nice and centered, tack right here in the middle. Put a tack on the inside since I can access it. On his you may not be able to. Just give it a little bit extra strength. Or you could add a rod on the outside if you wanted, but it's going to make your weld less pretty running over that rod. Okay, now you can walk it one way or the other. So I'm going to walk it this way, tack this side, and then walk this back down. Try to sight down that and get from here to here as straight as possible on this end. Okay, do the same for the other side. And where he's working with thinner sheet, sometimes like if you have it, you could do the outsides first, that's one option, and then wedge a putty knife in here and pop this sheet out and make it line up, and then put a tack right next to the putty knife and pull it back out. Hopefully that makes sense. I kind of like doing it this way though if I can, not having to wedge a putty knife in. And for me to get this particular part to fit right, I'm needing 2 hands. I can't just squeeze. If I squeeze down with this one, when I got the torch, I saw the gap where I got to squeeze this way too. Hopefully that makes sense. So quick grips, I use these all the time for stuff like this. I'll leave a link below. Frees up your extra hand so you can get the torch in it. So I got that sucked down. Now I'm just going to push. I'm going to push this down this way, get it as close as possible. Okay, and if I pull the quick grip off, that might pop because it's a pretty small tack. So you want to run your tack a little bit longer to get more adhesion strength. Same thing over here. Get out a little bit longer one. And just squeeze that down into place while I'm tacking it. And I showed that in an older video, so I was trying to weld that right there, and I couldn't quite get it touching, so there was a gap. And if you don't have a freehand for filler rod, a trick you can do that everybody's going to tell you not to do, but I say it's fine, is you can dab your tungsten in it real quick and stir the two sides together. And if you do it just right and don't hold it in there too long, you really don't contaminate it that bad. You know, you can hand file this back off if you care to, but the tungsten's still fine. Okay, pretty nice and straight, right? You still see a little bit of a ripple in the sheet here. You can see that reflection, but that's about as good as you're going to get it. You want to learn how to get good at weld restarts, I teach you that on my website. Watch, now that I said that, I'm probably going to dork this one. No pressure, right? There's a little bit of a gap right here, but I'm not too worried about it. If you wanted to, you could smack it in with a little hammer. Okay, thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully you found that helpful. For sticking around this long, I'm going to give you a few more pointers on how I clean up parts. See, there's a little bit of staining on the top surface. Windex won't take that off sometimes, so what I like doing before Windex is using simple green. It's like a really light, almost like an etching, but just a little bit better to clean that off. See how it took all that off? And then after that, I'll Windex it. Get that to evaporate. So that's how I would clean my parts before I'd wrap them up and ship them. So what I like to do after I get done with any project is, you know, be honest with myself and nitpick it and think of what I could have done better. And I'm happy with the welds, happy with the restarts. This one right here in the middle of the video where I was tacking it, I accidentally touched the tungsten down. So you can see a little bit of a black speckle there. So I could have hand filed that and cleaned it out better so you don't see that in the finished product. And then too hot over here on the fill cap bung. You can see, like I said, it was hazy and kind of sinking in, getting gray looking, not nearly as shiny. This is where I started. And then focal points on parts like this, you know, assuming you see it from the back, I wanted to put the weld stop back here so you don't see that at all. But other than that, I'm pretty happy with it for a demonstration piece. And also you see this brand has their name etched in it. I'm not affiliated with them, but I really do like these caps, these ProWorks ones. But so you want to tighten the cap on the bung first and scribe a little mark. Let's see. Oh, you can't see it, it's under the tack, but I put a little scratch mark so I knew exactly which way to orient the bung. So when you put it on, it's not all crooked, you know, when you finish your part. It's the little things that set you apart, you know, attention to detail. Get you the jobs, make the money. And the way all these videos are made possible so I can afford to make them, you know, like this is probably 15 bucks in material and then a $35 fill cap. I sell this variable amperage TIG button on my website. It replaces a foot pedal, does the exact same thing as a foot pedal, so you're not having to kick that around. I love this. I use it probably 90-95% of the time. So I sell those on my website, and then the website subscriptions, like Blaine, he's the one that had this video idea and he emailed it to me. So if any of you guys that are website subscribers have any good ideas, feel free to email them to me. The website's only $45 and it's a one-time fee. And I teach you exactly how I weld, you know, arc shots from my point of view, like you're looking through my welding hood, all the welder settings, what tungsten I use, how I shape it, why I shape it that way, fill rod selection. The website's really detailed. If anything isn't answered on it, feel free to email me. Or if you just like the videos and you're not really wanting to get into becoming a better aluminum fabricator, I now have a donation link. If any of you guys use PayPal, you can donate, you know, like a couple bucks. That just, you know, every little bit helps. Thanks for watching.